The wind howled across the white-blinded prairie as if it were trying to tear the world apart. But he still heard it, the thin, desperate cries that didn't belong to any storm. The cowboy jerked his horse to a stop, heart slamming once, then twice, because nothing human should have been out here. Not tonight, not in a blizzard that felt like knives. But then the snow shifted and he saw them. 6 children huddled together like a trembling knot of shadows, their tiny bodies shaking so violently he could see the shivers from 20 feet away. Their faces were raw red, their lips blue, their breath shallow and broken. And behind them, he didn't see her at first until the children parted, and something crumpled in the snow. A woman. No, their mother. She collapsed face down, the storm swallowing her very last ounce of strength. A jolt of terror ripped through him. He didn't think. His boots hit the ground before his horse even stopped moving, and his voice roared through the freezing air. "Don't fall asleep, don't you dare fall asleep." But the woman didn't move. He dropped to his knees, scooping the children toward him with his arms, feeling their icy skin through his gloves. Their breaths were shallow, weak, far too weak. The oldest boy, maybe 10 or 11, pushed the younger ones behind him as if still trying to shield them. We tried to keep her up," the boy gasped, his teeth clattering uncontrollably. "She told us not to stop walking. She said the town was close, she said. His voice broke. The cowboy didn't have time to comfort him. "All right, little man. We're gonna move fast, you hear? Hold on to each other." He grabbed the mother's shoulders, turning her over. Snow poured off her hair, her lashes, her frozen clothes. Her skin was ghost pale, her breath almost non-existent. But she was still alive. Barely. The cowboy's pulse thudded in his ears. He lifted her, staggering under the dead weight of a grown woman frozen half-solid. He hauled her to the horse, shoving the kids up first, 3 in front, 3 behind, his hands shaking with a panic he hadn't felt since the day he lost his own sister in a winter storm years ago. Not again, not tonight. He mounted behind them, clutching the mother against his chest to warm her with his own body heat. "Hang on!" he yelled, snapping the reins. Snow exploded beneath the horse's hooves, but the storm only got worse. The wind whipped so hard it felt like invisible, hands trying to rip the children off the saddle. More than once he felt their tiny fingers slipping, their bodies nearly sliding off. "Stay with me!" he shouted, louder than the blizzard. "Don't you close your eyes!" He didn't know how long they pushed through. Minutes, an hour. Time didn't exist in a storm like this. Only the sound of his horse gasping, the children whimpering, the mother's faint breaths or lack of them. Then through the white chaos he finally saw it. A light. Faint. Flickering, nearly swallowed by snow. His ranch. He leaned forward, whispering hoarsely, "Hold on. Just a little more." But as they approached, the mother's head dropped limply backward, her breath stopping entirely. No, not now," he shouted, shaking her, urging the horse faster. He crashed through the barn doors, dismounted, and dragged them all into the warm glow inside. The children collapsed in a heap, sobbing. He laid their mother on the hay-covered floor, ripping off his gloves and pressing his trembling hands to her face. "Come on, ma'am. Don't you leave them. Don't you leave them." Her chest didn't move. Not once. Not twice. He pressed down, pushing breath into her lungs, fighting with everything he had. And then, finally, a small broken gasp trembled out of her lips. She was alive. The cowboy fell back, breathless, shaking harder than the children. They stared at him with wide, terrified eyes, as if he were the only thing between them and death. And tonight he was. The blizzard roared outside the barn all night, but inside the fight had only just begun. He stripped the children's soaked clothes, wrapped them in blankets, fed them warm broth by spoonfuls while the mother shivered violently on the cot. She drifted in and out of consciousness, each time her lips cracking open to whisper the same question. "My babies. Are my babies safe?" "Yes, ma'am," he always answered, even before she finished asking. "They're right here. They're safe." But the truth was cruel. They'd been wandering in the storm for hours, maybe longer. Frostbite nipped at their fingers and toes. The youngest girl, no older than 3, wouldn't stop shaking. The oldest boy tried acting brave, but he kept staring at his mother as if terrified she'd vanish if he blinked. When the storm finally weakened near dawn, he managed to get them inside the house by the fire. The mother's condition was still fragile, her breath shallow, her body still too cold, her pulse flickering like a dying candle. He sat beside her, rubbing warmth into her arms, listening as the wind slowly calmed outside the windows. "How did you end up out there?" he asked gently, not expecting an answer. She surprised him. Her cracked lips parted. "We were running—" His heartbeat stopped. "From what?" She swallowed painfully. "My husband. He wasn't supposed to come back. But he did, drunk, angry. He smashed everything. The children were screaming. I grabbed them and ran. We walked all night trying to reach town, but the storm caught us. A chill far colder than the blizzard spread through him." She looked up at him, eyes dull with exhaustion and terror. "He'll come. He'll come looking for us." The cowboy's jaw tightened. "No," he said, voice low and steady. "He won't get anywhere near you. Not here." Her breath trembled, and this time not from the cold. "Why are you helping us?" He looked at the 6 children sleeping by the fire, curled like little animals seeking warmth. "Because I've seen what storms can take," he whispered. "I won't let this one take you too." Hours passed. He stayed awake, feeding the fire, tending to the kids, checking her breathing every few minutes. Slowly, color returned to her face. She lived. And as evening fell, the ranch gate creaked open outside. A dark figure stumbled toward the house. The cowboy's body tensed. He reached for his rifle, heart pounding with a rage he hadn't felt in years. The mother, still weak, whispered desperately, "He found us." The cowboy stood in the doorway, rifle aimed, snow swirling around him like ghosts. "You took my wife," the man slurred. "You took my kids." "You nearly killed them," the cowboy growled. "So tonight, listen closely because I'm only going to say this once." He stepped forward, eyes burning. "They're not going back with you." The drunk man lunged, but the cowboy cocked the rifle with a sound sharp as lightning. "Take one more step," he warned, "and you'll finish what the blizzard started." The man froze. For the first time, fear, not rage, filled his eyes, and he fled into the snow. The cowboy lowered the gun, chest heaving. When he returned inside, the mother was crying silently. Not out of fear, not out of pain, but because her children were safe, finally safe. The oldest boy rushed into the cowboy's arms before the man even knew what was happening. "You saved us," the boy whispered fiercely. "No one ever saved us before." The cowboy swallowed hard, throat burning. He looked at the mother, frail, exhausted, but alive. And he knew this night had changed all of their lives. Just like he knew something else. He wasn't letting them walk back into that nightmare. Not tomorrow. Not ever. Outside, the storm finally died. Inside, the smallest child crawled into his lap, her tiny frozen fingers clutching his shirt like she'd found a hero, and maybe, for once, he truly had become one. The mother stirred, trying to sit up despite the weakness still gripping her body. He moved to steady her, but she shook her head, determined. Her eyes drifted toward her children, now asleep in a tangled pile of blankets by the hearth, and something in her expression shifted. A kind of fragile hope bloomed there, faint but unmistakable. "They've never slept this peacefully," she whispered. "Not in years." He swallowed, unsure how to answer the weight of that truth. So he simply lowered himself onto the chair beside her, letting the crackling fire speak for him. She studied him for a long moment, as though trying to understand why a stranger would risk his life for them. "You don't even know our names," she said softly. He exhaled, almost a laugh. "Names don't matter much in a storm. Only people do." She blinked, stunned by the simplicity of it. Outside, dawn finally broke, thin, pale, and trembling after the storm. The world was still buried in white, but inside the small ranch house, warmth slowly replaced fear. She closed her eyes, tears slipping down as she murmured, "Thank you for giving us a chance to start over." He didn't speak, he didn't need to, but in that silent moment, he quietly made a promise he'd spend the rest of his life keeping.